Hello everyone, this is Brad Wood. Today I'm going to show you a quick feature called the request dumper as part of CommandBox's web server. This is actually a built-in undertow handler that dumps out all of the information about an HTTP request and the response. And it can be handy for debugging sometimes if you don't have a tool like Fusion Reactor or a web server that can kind of just give you a raw look at what the incoming request is and what the response was. It can help you troubleshoot things like headers, what the URI is that's coming in before any rewrites or anything happen. So this request dumper fires early on in the request before anything's been rewritten or changed around, and it shows you exactly what the request is coming in. So you set it up as a server rule. It's just a little handler in the server rule or undertow predicate language I talked about in a previous video, and it's just a little call that says dump request. Now I like to pair this with a predicate so it doesn't run on every single request. Otherwise, it'll dump all the details of your favicon, of your images, of your CSS. You can have like hundreds of these things. So I'll pair it with something like this regular expression predicate that says, does the URL start with something.cfm? If so, then dump the request. That way we'll ignore static files. And then that'll show up just in your console, and it'll look kind of like this. So let's test this real quick. Copy this server rule to my clipboard. I'm going to do server set web.rules. Let's go ahead and put this in the first index of the array. Need to wrap some quotes around this. There we go. Okay, so there's our server rule and our server.json web rules. This regular expression is matched, then dump out the request. Easy peasy. So I'm going to start a console server so we can see the console. All right, so our site has come up. Hit our little test index.cfm, but oh no, it did not dump. The reason is because even though we're running index.cfm, my little predicate that says does the request end in .cfm is looking specifically at what came in from the browser, and that default welcome file isn't actually added till later on in the request. So I do need to actually, based on the predicate that I used, I do need to actually specify index.cfm in the URL, so my rule will fire. And here we go. So request dump starts here. All of this stuff here at the beginning details the incoming request. And so content length, character encoding, content type. Here's a list of all the cookies that were set. Here's a list of all the headers that were coming in. Here's the HTTP method, the protocol, query string, empty, the remote IP address, the remote host. It's kind of funny it says Kubernetes. I do have Docker installed, but I'm not using Kubernetes for anything. Oh well, crazy Docker stuff. Server port is secure false, and then the response details all the response that came back to the web browser. So content length of 4. There's my content type. There's all the response headers and my status code of 200. So as long as we keep hitting refresh or hitting requests that fire that request dumper, it'll keep just dumping this in. So it can be a handy little tool to have in your back pocket in case you just need to be able to kind of, debug what this raw request or raw responses are. Maybe you don't have access to the user's browser and you want to be able to have them hit something and see exactly what they're sending. You can do that. And again, let's show you one more time. Oop, let me Control-C to stop the server before I run server show. Again, this little rule, put whatever predicate you want, if you even want a predicate. But as long as this runs here, you'll get that in the console. Okay, that's it. Happy request dumping, everyone.